Because there are so many reality TV shows, viewers have a difficult time believing what's really happening. To learn of an event that's truly believable, Education Today starts now.
Welcome to Education Today. I'm John Zish from the Armstrong School District. You've all heard about reality television. It's on practically every night. But tonight we have a different kind of reality television for you. We're going to look at a project called the Armstrong Reality Tour. That is a live theater experience for small groups that takes people inside the Armstrong County Jail to see the painful life and death of a fictional young heroin addict. To talk more about this, we have the local chairman of the Armstrong Reality Tour, District Attorney Scott Andracy. Welcome.
Thank you, John.
We also have the creator of the reality tour, Norma Norris of Butler, Pennsylvania. Delighted to have you. Would you please tell us about yourselves?
Certainly, Jonathan. My name is Scott Andracy. I'm the District Attorney for Armstrong County since 1998.
Thank you.
And I'm Norma Norris. I'm the Executive Director of Candle Incorporated, which is the parent nonprofit organization for the reality tour.
Very good. Well, Norma, I'd like to start with you. What are some of the origins of the reality tour? And then we can also have you chime in as well, Scott.
Okay. I started this program in Butler in the summer of 2003, and the interesting thing was it was only supposed to be a 3-month summer program, but we could never shut it down because we always had a 2-month waiting list to get into the program. And it's a program for parent and child to experience, and it's quite intensive and it's very thorough.
What gave you the idea for it? Take us back to the very origins of it.
I had a career in radio, and one of our talk shows, our district attorney, who was Tim McCune at that time in Butler, talked about how bad the heroin use was among teens. And I really began to investigate that. I asked my own son, who had graduated from our school system and was in college, if that was in fact the case, and he reiterated yes, he knew several of his classmates that were addicted to heroin, and I was stunned because as a parent I didn't realize this was going on, and I asked my son, how did you escape this? And he had an answer for me that kind of made me think about this whole process, and he said, I could always see beyond the next 10 minutes. Okay, so I created a program so that kids could think beyond the next 10 minutes because they would have an easily recalled experience of the consequences of substance abuse. Sometimes they don't believe it's going to happen to them, or that what they've heard is really just the extreme end of the spectrum and it's not likely to happen. So we present them with what the threat is. We say the threat is real, but we also give them their way out, their protection information that they need, so this doesn't have to happen to them. What you see is graphic and impressive, and it's an emotional imprint on parent and child, but it doesn't have to happen to you. And the addict who narrates every scene and sets every scene up reinforces that once he was just like you. Every addict was once an innocent child.
And we're going to see a few scenes of those later in the program, in addition to talking to some of the Armstrong School District students who act in the reality tour here in Armstrong County. But before we get to that, tell us a little bit, Scott, if you would please, about how the reality tour came to Armstrong County.
It came through my friend Tim McCune, who contacted me. He was a cheerleader of the program in Butler County. We had a couple of our local folks attend the tour that Norma was giving and came back and said nothing but good things about it. And we're very excited about starting it in our county. We convened a group in, I believe it was May of 2005, of community leaders, and it has grown since then, amazingly grown. The response from the community, from the school district, from every facet of our county has been nothing but positive.
Very good. And congratulations are in order, I understand, because when October 2006 rolled around, you celebrated your first birthday.
Our first anniversary, yes.
Reaching hundreds of lives. So
we're up to almost 900 students and their parents now.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, for those who haven't experienced it, can you tell us a little bit about why should parents and students come to this? What will they experience when they get to the reality tour? Whoever wants to answer that.
The program is a hard-hitting, fact-based reality program, and I can't stress that enough, because what we see when people attend the tour is they're jaded when they come in the door. They're not sure what to expect, but most people have the "I've seen it all" kind of attitude. And to watch them come out of the various parts of the program and with literally tears in their eyes, that's when you know the message is hit home.
And in the second part of the program, they get to ask questions.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're just presenting something to you. It's a very interactive experience. And so you can ask questions of Scott Andrasi that refer to law enforcement, what's happening in your local community, and also of addicts in recovery and parents of addicts in recovery. Before I started this program, I didn't know any addicts. I didn't know any parents of addicts that had identified themselves. We all, socialize with them every day, but you don't know that it exists. And now I have friends of mine that are addicts in recovery and parents of addicts. Parents of addicts make up of a lot of our group leaders, and they feel very empowered by this program, as does the addict in recovery, who gets this special half hour to tell their story and give back to the community that they took something away from.
Wow. Well, here's a question society is struggling with, and if you don't have the right answer, that's okay, because I don't know if anyone does, but what will it take to stop this American epidemic of drug use and addiction? Do you have any thoughts on that? There's no right or wrong answer, but...
What will it take? Well, I think that it's parent and child involvement and education, number one, but we also need to recognize that we're being flooded with drugs. One of the speakers for our program in law enforcement talks about it as a terroristic activity, how pure the heroin is, how plentiful it is. And way back when I graduated from high school, a long time ago, I had a history teacher that it may not be the country with the best arms race that rules the world. It may be the country that best controls their addictions.
That's a great point.
Well said.
We're currently engaged in face-to-face meetings with high school students throughout the district. And time again, what we hear from them is, when we ask that same question, why do kids try drugs? It's the "it can't happen to me" attitude that a lot of our young kids have these days. It's the "I can do it and nothing will happen to me" kind of an attitude. And quite frankly, from law enforcement perspective, that just scares us to death, because that's what creates the market for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
The invincibility.
Yeah.
And the end result is always just going to be addiction or death.
And I think Judge DeComo coined that phrase quite aptly. It's
Right.
addiction or death.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Armstrong School District recently sent about 117 students and parents to a special daytime session of the Armstrong Reality Tour at the Armstrong County Jail. And I have to congratulate the Reality Tour volunteers publicly, who many of them took the day off work so that our students could experience this with their parents. But I was wondering if you would just please explain what the impact of these type of special sessions will be.
I think through the cooperation of the school district and our volunteers especially, who are just incredible people, we're able to reach a whole series of students and their parents who we might not otherwise have been able to reach with this message. And the very fact that they're willing to take their time and their effort, and the staff at the jail was willing to literally turn their day upside down to accommodate
That's true.
our participants, it speaks to the kind of commitment everyone has to this problem. And it's the same whether it's a special tour or a regular tour. What we want them to leave the tour with is, this is all of our problem. We all have to deal with it each and every day. We can't go to a tour and then forget about it. We have to deal with it every day.
Right. We should mention, when is the reality tour?
Our local tour is the second Tuesday of each month from 6 to 9. We hold it at our jail facility on Staley Court Road.
Just outside of Katanning.
Yes, just outside of Katanning, and registration is either through Arc Manor at their website or through my office. They can obtain registration forms.
Okay. What are some future plans for the reality tour, both nationally and locally?
Well, a lot of our future plans, if you go to the website at realitytour.org and click on locations, you're able to keep track with who is implementing their tour. We currently have 13 counties in Pennsylvania committed to
That's
the
amazing.
reality tour. We will soon be opening 2 other tours in Butler County, where the tour originated, one in Slippery Rock and one in Cranberry, and that is necessary as we roll out our prevention initiative, which is a partnership with the schools. and it's a priority access with a certain grade level that a school will dedicate to us. Knock Middle School dedicated their 6th grade students, and in the very first week that they passed out registration, we had 54 people signed up to come to our evening program. But the tour is in the 13 counties. We just received notice from Indiana, and we are hoping to open a satellite reality tour in Westmoreland County. And I would like to announce the organizational meeting is November the 8th in Westmoreland County at the Winston-Salem High School, and it starts at 6 o'clock. You can also email me through the website at realitytour.org. If you hit the contact button, that is my email. Indiana County just sent us their notice that they're coming on board, and we'll be doing the reality tour starting in January. So Western Pennsylvania is very, very well represented. We have one county out in the eastern part, which is Wayne County, and we're moving towards the central part with Bedford and Fulton and Franklin counties coming on board and doing tours too. And they have the same experience that Scott had with his first tour, which is you're inundated with registrations and interest, and it's what the community's talking about. And wherever it goes, it seems to have that impact. And after our presentation at the Neighborhoods USA Convention in Kansas City, we now have 16 states interested.
Oh, wow.
And I've just been invited to go to Washington and meet with the director for the Office of National Drug Control Policy.
Very good.
So
It looks like the future's bright for the reality tour.
I think it is.
Thanks for all your hard work. How about it here in Armstrong County?
We're going to continue the same path we've been on. We've been truly blessed in terms of people who are willing to volunteer their time. You know, when we first sat down, we said to ourselves, okay, we want to do this, but where do we get the people and where do we get the money? We've had to turn people away. That's how many people volunteered. And the community response from the Hospital Foundation, from the School District Foundation, from local charities and organizations has just been phenomenal, to the point where we've been able to literally hire someone to do some of the work of coordinating the tours. When we first started, we thought we'd do it once every other month or once a quarter. We're literally doing it every month.
The demand is there.
And which is kind of a good thing to get the message out, but it's also a frightening thing because that's how many people want this information and are concerned about the kids in their lives. And as long as we've got the demand, it will be every month. And I just can't thank these kids enough for their volunteer efforts, their parents who come in. It's just been phenomenal.
Well, we certainly appreciate both of you fighting this good fight that needs to be fought. We're going to take a short break from Armstrong School District's education today. My guests were Scott Andracy and Norman Norris. I'd like to thank both of you for being on the program today.
Jonathan.
I appreciate your time. When we come back, Armstrong School District's Education Today will visit with some of the Armstrong School District students who act in the Armstrong Reality Tour. Stay with us.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Learn lessons from the past and apply them to the future. Think critically. Write analytically. Question. Scrutinize. Question again. Society is your laboratory. Humanities and social sciences at IUP. Quality, affordability, excellence. Indiana University of Pennsylvania. The perfect fit.
Welcome back to Armstrong School District's Education Today. I'm John Zish with Armstrong School District, and today we are talking about the Armstrong Reality Tour. That is a live theater experience for small groups that takes people inside the life and death of a fictional young heroin addict. And now we have some student guests with us. Would you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Jacob George, and I'm a senior at Katanning Senior High School.
Hi, my name is Vicki Walker, and I'm a junior at Katanning Senior High School.
My name is Montana Christman, and I'm in 8th grade at Ford City High School.
My name is Shannon Walker, and I'm in 8th grade at Katanning Junior High.
My name's Brandon Harriger. I'm a freshman at Ford City High School.
Very good. Well, you all volunteer as actors with the reality tour at the Armstrong County Jail, and we appreciate your service to the community that way. Please tell us your roles and what your characters do in the reality tour.
Well, my character's name is Jeff, and he's a drug dealer. I try to promote people getting used drugs. So that's basically what I do, and I'm with the guy that dies. Me and Vicky act together. So we act in the original peer pressure scene, then we go into the funeral scene, and before that, the ER scene. So it really takes our lives, see the different emotions we have.
Yes, as Jake mentioned, I play Amber. So I'm friends with Jake, who actually plays his character name's Jeff. And my cousin, Michael, is the boy who has the heroin addiction. And as Jake said, we go through the peer pressure scene and then the ER scene where he's laying there dying, and then the funeral scene.
I have played almost every character in the peer pressure scene. And I've played everything from one of the users to one of the girls trying to stop her best friend from using. And
Very good.
I play Nicole, and she is one of the girls who in the peer pressure scene gets tempted with drugs and she refuses them.
Good for Nicole.
My first role, I was Mark. I was with Jeff and Amber trying to promote drug use, and now I'm the drug dealer, Chris, who sells Jeff the drugs.
Okay. Well, now we have some scenes from the Armstrong reality tour that we'd like to share with our viewers. Let's take a look.
I was 15 years old. My friends came up to me and said, hey, you want to have a party? We got some alcohol. We're going to go drink and have fun. I started drinking every day from then on. Then I got worse, started smoking weed, got into Oxycontins, and all of a sudden that wasn't enough. They were so expensive, so I started doing heroin.
Statistically,
I started
heroin
out snorting it.
through studies
This wasn't enough anymore either.
admitted
Started
to use
shooting it.
upward
Ended up
about
doing
1.5
over 50 bags a day, about $350 on the street.
their high school age.
And,
students.
second is
Started
environmental
to have
fun doing it.
drugs
Still,
involved,
I started
when I mean by
getting in more trouble.
Okay, let's shock him at 200. No pulse.
Still being fed.
Still no pulse. Okay, start CPR and give 1 milligram of epinephrine and 2 more milligrams of Narcan.
Ambulance. Looks like he's had a heroin overdose. We're doing everything we
Narcan
can to
is
try and
still
save
being
him, but
fed.
Okay, shock at 360.
he wasn't
Take the
supposed to
individual
be
into the search and issue room.
Just got out of jail.
Take it all
You
in
guys have a
close.
seat right here.
Everything. We will issue you everything you need.
Michael. Michael, please. Michael, please come back. Michael.
Wow. Well, that was eye-opening. And now I'd like to ask each of you why you signed up for the reality tour.
Well, the coordinator of volunteers for the reality tour is Kathy Velko, and I worked with her at Big Brothers Big Sisters. And then, unfortunately, that shut down her program. She ran a tutoring program there. And I saw her during the summer one time. It was, I think, last year. And she said, hey, do you want to come and do this reality tour thing? And I really had no idea what it was or anything like that. And I like Kathy, so that's kind of the reason I went. And from the time I went to the meeting, I was hooked. It's such a good cause and stuff.
Very good.
So.
Nice.
All right, well, actually, Jake over here pulled me into this one. I believe it was back in January.
Yeah, I think November.
November?
Yeah.
He comes up to me and he says, Vicki, I need you to do one reality tour. Only one. That's it. I said, okay. How many later? I'm still here. So it's obviously a good cause. If it can keep me around for that long, then
Wow.
yeah.
Nice.
I was in the Armstrong Community Theater with Kathy's daughter, and one day at practice, she asked me if I would like to try the reality tour. So I said, why not? And I'm still doing it.
Good.
Well, one day, Vicki got an email from Kathy that said, hey, we need somebody to play Nicole. Can you bring your little sister into this?
That would be you.
That was 2 months ago, and so I'm still with the tour.
Very good.
Well, Kathy Velko, she goes to our church, and she was going around our youth group trying to get volunteers. And my parents and my sister both volunteered in it, and they got me into it.
Nice. Well, it sounds like there are some positive examples of peer pressure here with each of you kind of like signing up your friends and now you're hooked on a good thing. So we appreciate that. What have some of the audience's reactions been to the reality tour? Does anyone have any feedback on that?
I can remember one in particular that was really moving. It was the tour that Lenape Votech came through on. And they went through the peer pressure scene. They were fine with that. The ER scene, they were okay. Then we got to the funeral scene. And Jake and I are standing outside the door, just about to enter the funeral home. And these two girls come running out crying because it had such an emotional impact on them. And I think that's one of the ones I will always remember the most.
We should probably tell the viewers What is the funeral scene exactly? You recreate a real funeral?
Basically,
and it has almost
yes.
the same impact.
Yes, what happens in the funeral scene is everyone is brought into the room and they can hear the addict's voice speaking and talking as if he's talking to them after he's dead.
Like over a loudspeaker they go?
Yes.
Play it on a CD player.
They play it on a CD player. And it talks about how can't tell the audience how much he hurts because that's personal, and he can't tell them how much his parents hurt because that's personal too. But then Jake and I walk in because we're the friends, and we walk up to we go sign the guest book and then walk past the coffin and go and stand over to the side. And then his mom and dad walk in. And
everybody files through then.
Yeah, everyone goes through the receiving line, and it's just, sometimes that's the part that gets people the hardest because they actually have to deal with, Jake and I and Debbie and whoever the dad happens to be, and we're all crying. And
a lot of people even say when they hug, "Good job, this is great," they really appreciate it. And I get a lot of crying and stuff you can see, and it's like emotional.
Right. Any audience reactions from you guys?
I don't have any that really stand out like Vicky's, but a lot of the kids are really impacted by the peer pressure scene because they can relate to it and it happens to them in real life.
Very good. Well, here's a question that society is kind of struggling with, and I would like your thoughts as young people about it. What will it take for America to get over this epidemic that we have with drug addiction? Does anyone have any thoughts, just as a young man or a young woman? What do we need to kind of get on the right track here? What will solve the problem?
I just think education about it, like what we're doing with the reality tour. People see what happens after, like Mr. Andressi commented on, they don't think it can happen to them, but it actually can. So education with that, definitely.
Very good.
Also, I'd like to add, I really like something that Norma said. How her son managed to avoid the lure of drugs was he could think beyond the next 10 minutes. And I really think that's important because I find that today our entire culture as a whole is oriented toward right now. And people don't think about the consequences. But I almost think there's no way we're ever going to eliminate drugs unless we can change the cultural mindset.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts? Okay. Well, are there any other things that you'd like to share with our viewers before we go?
Just come to the reality tour. Great experience.
Nice. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for being on the show. I appreciate your time. And I'd also like to thank our other guests, District Attorney Scott Andressi and Norman Norris of Butler, Pennsylvania. I hope our viewers will consider coming to the Armstrong Reality Tour. It's the second Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. at the Armstrong County Jail. You've got to sign up in advance because it's first come, first served. Go to www.arcmanor.org for a registration form, or call Arc Manor at 724-548-7607. The next ones are November 14th and December 12th. I'd also like to thank our film crew, which was from Ford City High School. They were behind the cameras and working in the room today. We certainly appreciate their help, led by Mrs. Barb Keller. That's our program. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. Stay in touch with what we're up to by visiting our website, and have a great week.
From Ford City High School, and this is a look at what's going on around the Armstrong School District. Pennsylvania State Police teams of officers and drug-sniffing dogs found no illegal drugs during a coordinated search of all 5 Armstrong School District schools on Wednesday, September 13th. State police from Katanning and other state police stations from across the state participated. In all, state police searched a total of 2,779 lockers covering Elderton Junior Senior High School, Ford City Junior Senior High School, Katanning Junior High School, Katanning Senior High School, and West Shamokin Junior Senior High School. This is a stepped-up effort to address concerns about the use of illegal drugs by our students, said Dr. Frank Garatano, Assistant Superintendent, Secondary Education, and District Programs. We conducted this search out of concern for our students and their families. Countywide, there have been an increasing numbers of drug prosecutions and drug overdoses. This search was part of Armstrong School District's continued effort to help students make good decisions regarding drugs and alcohol, said Garatano. Today's coordinated search was just one part of Armstrong School District's overall anti-drug efforts. Well, that's all for now. I'm Kayla Wolf from Ford City High School. Keep watching!